Hello, everyone. Hi, are you there? Happy to see you all. If you can see and hear me well, please type plus in the comments so that I'm sure that everything is okay, we're ready to start, that we're live, and everything is rolling. In the meantime, so my name is Elizabeth, and I'm the head of international content in Tilda Website Builder. Today, I'm super excited to host our guest workshop, where we are going to learn how to organize your workflow as a freelance web designer. Tilda webinars for designers, marketers, entrepreneurs are back on track. So if you don't want to miss the opportunity to learn from practitioners, to ask them questions, grow as a professional, subscribe to our channel now. The button is just under the video. And also follow Tilda on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. See the links in the description of this video. Right. So our speaker today is Simon. He's a professional web designer with more than 14 years of experience in the industry. He's now working as a freelance web designer, creating websites for the clients on Tilda and traveling the world. Simon is about to join us from Mexico today. There are plenty of tips for designers on how to design, how to choose the right tool sets, etc. But very little info can be found on how to structure the work, how to find clients, how to organize your time, and essentially how to do project management. So something that can be less intuitive and more challenging for creatives. That's why we asked Simon to break down the process of web design work routine and give a clear guide to designers who are just starting their freelance career or those who are already in the business and want to boost their productivity or leverage certain aspects of their workflow. Last thing I want to mention is that today's webinar is going to be recorded and remain available on our YouTube channel. And now Simon is with us. Okay. Hello, Simon. How are you doing?
Hello. Good, very good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking your time and making this talk today for us.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So, well, let's start. I will leave you with Simon and the presentation.
All right. Thank you very much. So yeah, welcome everyone. My name is Simon Wijers. I'm 29 years old and I'm based in the Netherlands. But currently I live in Mexico, like Elizabeth said, for a while now. I think for 10 months I've been in Mexico. So it's really the digital nomad life for me. I can see beautiful Mexico and still do a lot of work. I've 14 years of experience in the design industry, and mostly I did websites and branding. And today we're going to talk about how to improve your web design workflow and get more clients, and also have some tips and tricks for freelance designers. So let's start right away. So today we're going to talk about the full process from start to finish, and I will cover the following subjects. The first one is how to get clients as a freelance designer. Second is you have a job request, what do you do now? Third one is pricing the project. Four is communications with the client. And 5 is what to do after delivering the project. And make sure to stick around until the end, because in the end we have some great bonus tips and tricks for web designers that is very helpful for you. And feel free to ask questions during the webinar, and we might answer them at the end of this webinar. So let's dive right into it. The first chapter is how to get clients as a freelance designer and how to market yourself. Well, where do we start? So let's say you're pretty new to the game. You work as a freelancer, but you just started and you want to go fully independent. So what are the basic things that you need to do to get clients, basically? Well, getting clients can be hard, and especially in the starts of your career. So what's important to have is a good portfolio. The client will check this, so make it really as best as possible. And in a certain way, is your online business card, as cheeky as it sounds, but it's also important to think how to market yourself. So really put the time into the branding and think it through really good, and see it as your most important project you ever did, because your identity as freelancer is important. And your portfolio website is in a way to show how good you are and selling your skills. And this sounds like showing off, and kind of is, but if you do it right, it's not cheeky. So your portfolio website is an invitation to make what you like. I think it's good to show your face and to use your own speaking language, but be discreet, of course. And you can show your own style to the design. So I think it's good to talk a bit about yourself. You don't need to share a lot, but some information works well, I think. So the client can know you better, and it's important to know for the clients who they work with. This improves trust. And I think your portfolio website can be a bit personal and also a little fun. It's your style, the way you like it. For example, you see here a piece of my homepage where I talk a bit about myself in a picture. And if you click on my face, You don't see the animation right here, but these cool sunglasses pop up and cover my face, and it also goes away after 2 seconds. And this is certainly not for everyone, but I thought that these kinds of things are funny. And since my own website, it's my style, so yeah, that's what I like. And disclaimer, it's kind of hidden because if you don't click on it, you don't see this. So it's not in your face all the time when you scroll to my website or something like that. But I think those Easter eggs are funny to use. And another example I have, this is a piece of my contact page. I made a high five button. And if you click on the high five button, the emoji will pop up and gives you a high five with an animation. And the third example I have is also my contact page. When you hover over my email or my phone number, those cool emojis come bouncing up and down, also with animation, and goes away after a while. So showing your face and showing who you are is good, but don't overdo this. Don't make it a look at me website with all the model pictures you have. So not like this example. So use it subtle. And of course, your portfolio page is also important. I think it's not. I think you only have to show your best work. So if really quality of quantity, and if you're not proud of some work you did, don't show it. And if you don't have enough projects to show on your website, you can make an imaginary project or a fake project. It doesn't really matter if it's real or not. I think the client will look at possibilities, at the design, at the layout, etc. So yeah, this is a perfect way to show your skills because you have no limitations from the client if you can make your fake project. And yeah, this is a perfect portfolio piece that you can make, but also it's a good practice for yourself. And I also have a fake project piece called Round the World. I was into traveling, I still am, but back in the day I also was. And I thought it would be cool to work with a playful style for a project that I made up for a travel agency. And since I'm the client, I can decide what I want to make. So I gave myself some context. It's called Around the World is a travel agency that offers all kinds of quality trips. And you can visit the most beautiful places that have been specially selected for you. Around the World wants to give the experience of a certain location on their website. And with this in mind, I started the branding of the project. And here you see the process. These images you're going to see are all screenshots from the portfolio page of my website. And so here you see the logos that didn't make it, but I wanted to show the process, the design process. So here you see the final logo that I made. You see the explanation of the logo, why I did these elements, these things. So I pretended like it was a real project. So a palette, also the typography, the website homepage as a mockup, and finally the whole page and responsive states also. So again, I pretended to be a real client, and it's a full portfolio piece I have on my website. And potential customers won't notice that it's fake. Okay, so let's say we have a perfect portfolio website. Another important thing to do is spend some time on SEO. There are many SEO tricks, right? SEO-wise tricks, you can follow. I'm not going to talk about those in this webinar, but I wrote a manual that will also post online on Tilda Educations very soon. And here I talk more about SEO, and I will link this also in the description. And besides that, there are tons of blogs that you can check. But I will talk about one important thing for now, which I think is really great, and it's called link building. And this means adding your website's link to in other websites for your clients, for example. And this is not only good for SEO, but also people are curious to see who's the designer behind the website. And the perfect example is putting your name and your link in the bottom of the page, so in the footer. So for your clients, for example. So website made by SW Designs in my case. Well, I found out that many visitors this way. These three you see here are all clients of mine. And in the statistics, I can see that this website has the highest refer number. And these numbers are for 1 week. So it also helps to use social media and update it frequently. This will also show high up in Google. And you can share your website also here. And this is also link building. So that's nice. But the best way to be seen, in my opinion, is word of mouth. I have an example. I made a website for my friend's mother, and she was happy with the results. She had also a friend who was looking for a new website. So she spread the word. And some months later, this friend of my friend's mother worked with someone, so a colleague, and he also wanted the website, so he came to me. But it goes even further than that. This person had a family member who also wanted the website. So really, from one client came 3 other clients. And who knows, in the future, there become even more clients of this. And after delivering the website, I always ask the client, if you know someone who also needs a website or a branding project, depends on what you do, of course, you know where to find me. And if the client is happy and likes collaboration and likes the website, they're happy to help you. So this is really great, I think. So let's say you have a nice portfolio with all the information in it, and that's a good base, but now you have to get out there. And what do I mean with get out there? Well, make sure your Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook is on point. Apply in online design platforms, become a member of a Facebook group, submit your website to awards or on other websites, place yourself on a local marketplace, be active in design groups on the socials, participate in a design battle even, and many, many other ways. And these are all ways to show your beautiful website and also your brand. And by doing these things, you can make a name of yourself. And maybe some clients come from this, who knows? Okay, all right, second chapter. You got a potential customer, yay. Important things to do before starting. Let's talk about that. Okay, so you have a job request. What do you do now? It's important to have things figured out before starting the project, but what are these things exactly? Well, it's handy to have a manual. It's just a list of things, what's important to discuss with the client before you start the project. And this way you don't forget important agreements, for example. And I made a manual like this, and this will also go on Tilda, so you can check this out later. And with every new project, I go to the same lists, and we're going to talk about the subjects one by one in a bit. But a tip first, always put everything you discussed in an email, because this way there are no surprises, you have it on black and white, and if there are problems, everything is clear. And also an email is legally binding, so it's basically a contract, you can say. Okay, so let's look at the manual subjects. First one is working method. Well, I talked to the client about what's the best way to work together. So how is the client delivering the content? Do we need a copywriter or photographer, or does the client type the text themselves and use stock photography? Or how will the client send the content? Maybe it's useful to make Google Drive or Dropbox, or does the client prefer retransfer? So I also tell how I show the progress of Tilda with the Tilda subdomain, and so they can look at the website live. And some clients don't know anything, so remember to explain these things. That's really necessary. And of course, I also tell about the 2-week trial that Tilda uses. The second one is communication. This is an important one, I think. You can make the client feel comfortable with this one. For me, it's important that I'm well reachable and that I use clear communication with the client. So I make sure that I have a quick responding time also. And if you do this too, tell the client this. This helps for a pleasant cooperation. And also ask what communication method they prefer. Maybe they like to use video calls, normal text, email, or WhatsApp. And usually I tell them what I think is best to use. We're going to talk about the subject also later in this webinar. 3 is planning. So if you don't know yet, ask for the deadline. And you can tell what you think is doable in terms of planning. But only, I think, if you have enough information. So if you have to specify the information more, you can wait until you have this. 4, a CMS system. Basically, here you can explain what a CMS system is and how it works. Remember that some clients don't know what a CMS system is, so explain this, it's necessary. And I also tell why Tilda is a very good option. I tell what the pros and cons are, maybe the restrictions if they have certain things they want. So the client is updated with the possibilities and know what they can expect. And you can also make them enthusiastic with this one. So what I always do is share what you can do with Tilda. So I tell that the freedom you have with zero blocks, the responsive state options, the quick loading time on SVGs, the font options freedom you have, that's easy to adjust the website. It's good for SEO functionality, the statistics, and the good pricing. So they get enthusiastic when I say stuff like this. 5, quality. Okay, so this is, I think, really your sales pitch. As a designer, I think you need to go for the best quality possible. So dive into the details, make everything perfect by putting the effort into it, and go for the extra wow effect. So if you do this too, do tell the client this. This is really a sales pitch. And I also tell that I go on until the client is 100% happy, so the happy guarantee. And this, of course, does not apply when the client wants 20 revision rounds and I work 10 hours more than planned. There is a limit, of course, but basically I go on until they are 100% happy with the result. And I also tell how it works after delivering the website, so the aftercare. So for in my example, it's free for 1 month. And after that, I write my hours in a logbook. And if the client wants big changes, I also tell them that I charge these. Okay, 6. Many clients are most curious about this part. We'll be talking about pricing in the next chapter. But what I want to tell the client here is the hour rate that you have, the packages that you offer, if you offer any. For me, I offer 3 packages, which are guiding principles, when they can expect a pricing plan. I tell them that they can expect it when I have enough information to make the pricing table. And so you know how many hours the project will take you. And I tell them also that I work with a fixed price. So there are no hidden costs. But this only applies if there are no changes in the content, of course, while you edit. And because I work with a fixed price, I make sure that I plan my hours well. And I add some extra time if I have doubts about something. And we'll also talk about planning more in a bit. And lastly, I also tell how the invoice works. In my case, I like to separate it into 2 parts. The first one is halfway during the project, and the second one at the end of the project, so after delivering the project. So this is more safe for me, and the client will understand. And sometimes it takes a long time before a project is finished, so it's nice to have a payment halfway. Okay, 7, web shop functionality and other functionalities. And this is, of course, if they need one, but if they need a website or something else, I tell them the possibilities for this web shop functionality. So I show examples of other websites that had web shops in it. I tell them I show them how it looks and what's possible. And I show them, for example, the filter option or options when adding products, just so they can have a feel how it works and what they can do with this. And I also talk about the payment system like Stripe or PayPal. And they have to know how this works as well, and also how much it costs. They also have to know this. And I also ask if they have any other time-consuming functionalities. You'll be surprised how many times a client wanted something in the middle of a project and just forgot to tell me. For example, like a calendar plugin or a newsfeed or something like that. So I always ask this beforehand. All right, 8, make adjustments yourself. First of all, I think it's good to make sure that you tell the client that you help them learn how to use Tilda, so they can make adjustments themselves and they can feel comfortable to edit their own websites. And it's important to do this here, I think. I tell them I go to the client or I plan a video walkthrough to help them use Tilda. And also I say that I send a basic manual that I've made, and I tell that it's easy to make changes. But I also include that the program is in English for some people, especially in the Netherlands. It can be harder for some people, mostly elderly people. But I also add that the words are pretty easy to use until that's very simple to understand. And 9, questions I've left for the clients. I always end an email with the questions I have left. And this can be stuff like, are you interested in redesigning your brand? Or do you want just the basic SEO or the full package SEO? Do you agree to put website by SEO designs in the footer? I think it's decent to ask them this. And do you want a newsletter, for example, or do you want social media templates, stuff like that? Okay, so the client agreed to hire you as a web designer. It's a deal. So after agreeing both on the terms, it's important to start with the planning. And I know designers are creative people and just want to dive into the design right away, but I think a global planning helps a lot with your work, especially when you have 4, 5, 6, 7 projects at the same time. This will allow you to avoid terrible deadlines. And why do I say a global planning? Well, I found out that it's never worked for me when I have a too detailed planning from day to day, for example. My experience is always differs. Sometimes a client has a delay, sometimes I'm on a roll and I work a lot in one day. So a global planning is just to have a grip on the time you spend and the time you have left in your planning. And I like to use Google Sheets. You can see this here. I use a weekly planning. On the left, you see the client with, every client has an own color. And on the right, you see the starting point and ending point, so the deadline. And every week I try to plan myself 45 hours and I puzzle it into the projects that I have. But again, this is only a guideline for me. And a very important one, I think, is think twice about the planning. Choosing the right hours depends on many factors. For example, what kind of client is this? Will the client be quick in responding? How much is the client going to have a say in this? Will the client be easy or will he be picky? Do you need to dive into the code? What other additional small tasks? Maybe he or she wants some print work. Do you need to do research for a target audience? And is the project new to you? Do you have to figure stuff out on the way? So these are all aspects that are always good to take a second look at. And I have a very good example of this. Some time ago, I had a client. It was a relatively old man. I think he was like 84 years old or something. And the communication time that I estimated was far from enough. Usually I plan around 6 hours of communication, so talking on the phone and emailing. But this was more than 12, so more than a double. And communication via email wasn't great. He preferred to call all the time, and calls, of course, took longer than usual. And there were a lot of miscommunications. He didn't understand much about websites or even the internet. It's not their fault because he didn't grow up with this technology, but I should thought it through better. I had to think, okay, he's an old man, maybe isn't good at this stuff. I probably need to explain more, so it takes me a longer time. So this is a perfect example of adjusting the planning to the clients. So the key takeaway, be sure you know your client before you make the planning. And to make a good planning, so know who you're dealing with, and get as much information as possible about the project so you can better estimate the time it will take you, and register your hours. And the more often you do a project, the better you will get at keeping track of time. So really put the effort into writing worked hours down in a list. Documenting every time you work sounds like a lot of work, but it really isn't. You can easily use an online tool or even make one yourself with Google Sheets. You can see this here, for example. I use Google Sheets. This works perfectly for me. And on the left, you see the date that I worked. And next to that, you see the total minutes that I worked. I rounded up to 5 minutes. And next to that, the task that I worked on. And on the right, you see the total minutes that I worked. Below that, you will calculate automatically the total amount of hours. And below that, the total price that I worked. The total price that it's cost so far, I mean. And you can set the calculations of your hour rates in this program. And basically, it's just clocking in and clocking out. It's really easy to do. So don't think in hours planning wise. If your planning says 50 hours, for example, it doesn't mean you can be done in 7 days. Because always keep in mind that you should work with stops to clear your head and start fresh again. It's better for your creativity to not work all day, and you can have an off day sometimes, or designer's block. You're on consultation with the customer a lot, so this takes time. And sometimes it takes a day or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 to get a response from the client. And just overall, a project always takes more time than you think. So it's better to give yourself some extra space in planning. Okay, so we covered the manual topics and the planning. And another useful thing is to keep your files organized. And when using the same folder structure over and over, the navigation will become more easily and faster. So it becomes more of a habit. This maybe is personal, but so you can figure out what works best for you. But in my case, this is a perfect folder structure that I apply to every project. So I use 3 main folders. You have the client documents, the branding, and the websites. So let's open the first one, client documents. And here I put the feedback that I get from the client, the planning, and the pricing. Pretty straightforward. So let's go back and let's open the branding folder. This also speaks for itself. Here I put the logo in all the different formats and also the avatar and the favicon, and also the corporate identity. So with the color scheme, typography, the elements, style elements, and the brand guide if they have one. So let's go back again. And the last folder, websites. So during the project, I'm mostly in this folder, and here I have the client assets. So basically, these are all the assets that I get from the client. So it can be images, videos, vectors, stuff like that. Second is my assets. These are all the assets that I downloaded, like vectors or photos or videos. And these files are unedited and not optimized for use yet. 3, Photoshop and Illustrator. These are the source files that I have. And for example, when I need to edit a header with some overlay color or something, I will save it here in the source files. 4 is text website. It speaks for itself, of course. And 5 is images small. When the asset is ready to use for the website, I put it here. And here you can find images downsized or the edited pictures from Photoshop, with Photoshop, for example. And because I put them here, it will keep the files organized and clean. And 6, SVG, basically this is the same as images small, but for SVGs. And videos, if there are any videos for the project, I put them in this folder. So naming your files is also important. It helps you find your files faster on your computer, but also you can apply an alt tag right away. And sometimes when you're deep into projects and you just quickly want to make an image and put a name to it, you think you will do it back, you do it later, an alt tag, for example, and you will, just think of an alt tag later, I mean. I think it's not really the best way to do this. I also did this before, but I can recommend to do it right away. It's really the double of the work when you upload it again later. So if you have trouble finding the perfect alt tag, I suggest you dive into this before you start a new project. All right, chapter 3 already, pricing the projects. Talking money doesn't have to be hard. So the golden question that everybody wants to know the answer to: how much should you charge as a web designer? That's really a question that nobody has a perfect answer to, but only yourself. And there is no fixed answer to this, but I will come up with some numbers, so stay tuned. I struggled a long time with this too. What should I charge? Is it too much? Is it too little? And often clients think that they can be done with $500 and think that the website is not that much work. But why is that? Well, I think that they don't understand what goes into making a website, basically. And some other web designers would do it for smaller amounts, like $500, for example. So there will always be other designers that do it for less money, but maybe they're just starting their business or they won't reach the quality that you offer. And that the fact that these designers do it for less money, that doesn't mean that you have to give in and also lower your price. That's really the other way around, I think, and it doesn't make any sense. I think what the client should know is the real pricing of the quality of a quality website. So a solution to this is explaining why it takes so many hours. So you see your list. I put this list on my website, and I made this so the client can understand the amount of work better, and also the time and effort I put into every project. And when you showed your prices, the client can think two things. First one is, wow, he knows what he's doing and will make a great website with great quality. And the second one, okay, this is not for me. I just want a simple and cheap website. And both outcomes are fine because, if you want to filter out the potential clients who think they can be done with a small amount of money. Okay, but what price should I charge? Let's talk numbers. I think at the beginning of your career, of your freelance career, if you're still studying maybe and you have to start somewhere, I think between $25 and $35 as an hour rate is okay. And as years go by, after some time, when you develop yourself more and more and you've done some more projects, you can build it up to an hour rate between $35 and $45. So what about when you're an experienced designer? Okay, so what about when you're an experienced designer? I believe that you're not getting paid only for your hours that you make, but also for the profession that you do. In my case, I studied for 8 years. I had more than 3 years experience of internships, and I put many, many hours into tutorials and learning stuff myself in my free time. So I did all this work to become where I am today. And all this effort you have to take into account when questioning yourself what you're worth as a web designer. And for me, that's in the Netherlands and in this time, I think when you have more than 14 years of experience, you can charge between $60 and $80 per hour. And for maybe this is too much for some clients, and that's okay. And maybe if you have no clients at all, you can go down with your price a bit, but don't be afraid to charge what you think is reasonable. And a disclaimer, of course, this is different per country, per region that you're in. So that being said, it's different for everyone, but what you can do is be sure how good you are. And how do you know what you're worth? So you can ask for clients for feedback, for example, or ask other designers or friends for feedback. What do you think is good about you, your skills, your design, your technique, your website functionalities, your communication, etc. Do you get a lot of feedback or only compliments? And what makes you good as a designer? Do you make unique websites, or do you use mostly standard templates without big changes? So if the second is the case, then maybe consider a smaller amount. But if you really put all the effort into it, you know the Adobe programs very well, and you really care about the design of your clients, you're worth the extra 5 or 10 hours, $10 per hour, So you can build it up a bit. So it's important to know what your specialties are and your skills. And why should a client choose you and not someone else with a lower rate? Can you sell yourself to get chosen, even if another candidate has a lower hour rate? So if yes, congratulations, then you have the skills, you know what you're worth. And trust me, the client will see this. They will want to get quality. So if you can offer that and you can show them this, they will choose you. I have a couple of examples where I charge more than other candidates for the same project. But the clients still choose me because of my communication, my skills, and the effort I put into it. Okay, so you figured out your hour rates. Now onto the project. But how do you figure out what a project should cost? Making a website is more than designing and building. So to specify your pricing, I think it's best to divide into small tasks, divide into small parts. I use this list you see here, and I divided all the tasks into 16 parts. So for example, does the client want a login feature, a function? This functionality takes me about 6 hours more. Or does the client want illustration? If so, I will count more hours for this task. And if you can divide this task into different sections, it's easier for yourself to make a planning. But also this way, the client will understand how much work it is, and he or she will understand the price better. So communicating your price. Should you put your prices on your website? It's also an interesting one.
Uh-oh, I think we lost Simon for a second. Well, Simon is in Mexico now, and the internet in Mexico is not so stable as in other parts of the world, fortunately. But I'm sure, we are in contact with Simon. So in a couple of seconds, he must be back. Let's wait for a while. In the meantime, I want to remind you that you can keep asking questions. Thank you already to everyone who asked your questions in the comments under this video. And please continue asking all the questions that are coming to you while Simon is live. And after the talk, we are going to ask him all these questions. And here we have Simon. He's back apparently. Great,
I think
Simon.
there was a problem with the internet.
Yeah, we think so too, Simon.
I'm
all right,
sorry.
no problem. So we're just waiting for your slides back. Yeah. I was just reminding the folks that they can keep asking their questions. We have already several, and right after the talk, you will answer all of them. Yeah. So now let's see if you can upload your slides again, so that we can put them live, and you will continue the presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you uploading the slides? Because I cannot see here the slides yet.
Let me check. I thought I was okay. Webinar.
Oh yeah. Here we have the slides.
I think it's full screen also.
Not yet.
1 second.
Yeah. Okay. So and another reminder is that all this webinar will be available on our Tilda YouTube channel afterwards. So the recording is always available for you. You can watch it again. You can do some screenshots or take some notes afterwards, or even ask the questions after the webinar is over, because we're gonna make sure to send them to Simon and get his replies back to you. Okay, so are we ready, Simon?
I think so. Can you check it full screen?
Yeah.
All right.
I
think I was here with my story when when the internet was.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go from here.
I leave you. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. So sorry about that. Let's go back. Communicating your price. Should you put your prices on your website? This is also an interesting subject. The opinions differ on the subject. Some designers think that talking prices is best to do individually with the clients and not to give away anything before even talking about the project. And because every project is different, and that's true, of course. But other designers think that it's good to show your prices on the website before talking to the client. I also think this helps. I believe if you don't show your prices, some potential clients won't take the trouble to ask and wait for a response. and you can lose some potential clients this way. So people also want fast answers these days. So giving indication really helps. But most importantly for me, it's a good way to filter out the clients that has no real budget and that think they can be done with $500, for example. So here you see 3 packages that I offer on my websites. You have basic, premium, and custom made, like tailor-made. And so the clients can see right away in what area they can think of in terms of money. So what's important to mention if you offer these packages is that I communicate the prices are from prices, and beneath the packages it says the rates are price indications. So as every project is different, the final price will vary. So the client knows the price is not fixed, and there will be unique pricing plans for them for each project. Okay, so you have set an hour rate and you have a pricing table. This means you have a total price, but is this price fixed? Does this mean the client pays exactly this price, even if you spend less or more time than planned? Well, for me, yes. I like to work with fixed prices. You and the client know exactly what to expect. There are no surprises around the corner. And after all, you made a good estimate of your hours if you done it correctly. So what about if you work less hours than estimated? Well, you get free money, basically. Now, that's nice. The clients agreed to the price, so no worries. And did you work more hours than planned? You can check where you went over the planning. Is it your fault by planning too little time? That's a shame, but you know it for next time. So what's also important is to communicate. What's also important to communicate before starting, I think, is how and when the payment must be made. For me, I like to split it into 2 parts, one in the middle of project and one after delivering the project. And in my invoice, it clearly states how the payment must be made. In my case, it's simply by bank transfer, and I give the client 14 days to complete. And remember that some clients forget, so remember to check this after 2 weeks or so. Okay, chapter 4 already. Communication with clients. Communication is key. Every person is different, so it can be different in how you communicate with the clients. Usually I try to feel what works best with every client. For example, some people like WhatsApp for quick questions, while others prefer the call. And for me, it works best to use all 4 or 5 that you see here. 5 when I'm not available to travel to the clients, I use the video call. But let's start with the first one, seeing the client live. I think it's best to meet the client in person. That way you can understand each other better, and you can talk about the project more easy. And of course, in person is the easiest way to talk to each other, and especially when you have when you're talking about a new project, that's really important. I think it's also good to meet up in the middle of the process with the clients, and remember that this takes more time than planned, than a call, for example. So make sure you include this time into your pricing table. But by discussing your project live, you understand each other better, of course, and you can see also the reaction of the clients when you talk about things. And this helps to go from here. And also maybe after delivering, to do a walkthrough of Tilda, how to use Tilda, you can go to clients. So the second one is video call, and it's really simple. Somehow, if you can't meet the client or the travel distance is too long, this is the best option to talk. So the call, during the process of a project, I like to divide the communications. For more difficult questions that need explaining, I prefer the call. This way you can explain things more quickly, and this also works best if I have a list of things that I need to ask them or need to go through. But I try not to call too many times because this takes longer than sending an email or WhatsApp. So email, usually I mail the clients when I have a lot to say and I want to explain it in a structured way. It's also handy when you have things to show that you can provide explanation with this. So when sending an email, they can read it again afterwards. And for example, when I finish a design concept, the first design concept, I write all the things that I think is important for the client to know. So why I made the design choice, how the site is structured, how they can navigate, etc. So this gives the client time to look at their own pace, and also they can look back at it later, and they can think about the design for a second in their own pace. And if they want, they can still call me after reading the email. So WhatsApp, I like to use WhatsApp for quick questions, and you can text and continue to work. That's really nice. And usually a client will reply quickly to your text, so you can immediately implement things and continue to your task. So being specific helps a lot. For example, if you need to tell the client how to duplicate a page so they can do it themselves, how should you do this? Well, this is an example not to do this. You see, go to settings, go to actions, and click on duplicate page. I think this is not detailed enough. The client can click on the main settings and will look there instead of the page settings where they have to be, for example. And maybe they have trouble finding the actions tab. So what is a good example then? Here you see step by step the steps they have to do. And I think this is necessary to be this specific. It also helps to add screenshots. This maybe sounds too obvious and unnecessary, but trust me, this really helps. If you have a client that's familiar with the stuff, then maybe you don't need to be that specific, but a lot of people are atechnical. And also maybe this is too obvious for some people, but I want to implement this too, because it's important, I think. When sending an email, usually you write quite some alineas of text, so quite some text, quite some information. So by separating by an enter, that's a possibility you see here, but it's not really a clear and well-organized email. So what I do is divide information into sections and headlines. So this breaks information into sections, and it's more easy to read and absorb the information for the clients. It's an easy thing to do, but so effective. So what about additional work? So let's say you're in the middle of a project and the client is on the phone with you and asks for some additional work you didn't calculate in your pricing. So maybe a plugin for a plugin where you need to touch code, for example, something you have to look into. So how to respond to this? Well, the first thing, don't reply immediately on the phone that you will do this. You can tell the client you will reply soon with the email, and you can look into the work. Can you do it? How much time will it take you? And this way you have some time to dive into this without pressure. But most important, you have it on black and white. So if there's any trouble, you can go back to the email and say, no, we talked about this and this and this. So I have one experience where I discussed additional tasks on the phone. I thought it would take me 3 hours more. But when sending the invoice after finishing the project, the client didn't remember me saying it was 3 hours extra, and he didn't like the 3 hours that much because he was on a budget. So make sure you send it via email so you have it on black and white. All right, final chapter. The work is done and approved. So what now? Okay, so let's say you did every step from beginning to end, and the website is live and works perfectly. Are you done? Well, nope. There is the aftercare. I also made a list of things to do after delivering the website, because aftercare is really important, and let's talk about it one by one. So the first one is show them your skills again. Talk about the website with the client. You did this part many times before during the process, but it's also good when it's fully finished, the website. This is a perfect opportunity to show how good you are and why you made certain decisions. You can show that you carefully thought everything through and how it will convince visitors. So it's really nice. This is your final advertisement of your business, and basically. 2, help with Tilda. This is now the time to teach the client to do stuff themselves, so do a walkthrough of Tilda. And a tip for this, if you have a big website with a lot of things, it's a lot to take in at once for a client. I did a walkthrough once that took me 2.5 hours, and basically the client forgot half of the walkthrough that we talked about because it was way too much. So maybe split it into 2 times. The first one, all the basics of Tilda, how to change text, how to change images, stuff like that. And then another time, show the rest, the more complicated things. It also helps to send them a manual of Tilda and maybe some handy articles of Tilda, so they can know the basic stuff and they don't have to bother you with the small stuff. And they can always look back on this later, so if they're stuck. And also make an agreement on the login. It's good to tell the website it's 100% theirs, of course, and that they can decide who can log in and who can't. So I always share my login with the client, but maybe the client doesn't want to share the same login anymore. Maybe he wants to change the password, or maybe he or she wants an own login. And that's possible, but you have to work with collaborator feature in Tilda. And with this function, you can add up to 10 people. Everyone has their own login, and here you can see the setup real quick. But there is a video called Getting Started with Tilda, and we'll also add it in the description below. This feature costs a small fee, and you can grant limited or full access to selected projects. So again, this is how this works exactly can be seen in the video. All right, 3, site maintenance. The website is live. You and the client are happy, but once the site is launched, the project isn't over. Be ready to address feedback from users who are adapting to the new website. Expect to make some changes, even if you tested it carefully, or maybe you need to help the client with when they made a mistake, for example, or fix a broken link, remove a spelling mistake, and maybe after a while, some updates from the client also. Maybe they want to change something or add something, these kinds of things. 4 is help spread the news. You can help them share the new website. The client will like it, and it's also an advertisement for you as well. And you can share it on your socials, or send it to people on WhatsApp, for example. And of course, place it in your own portfolio. And 5, the fun part, getting paid. It's time to send your invoice, and it's nothing more to it, but it has to be in this list, of course. And lastly, ask for a review. When the client is happy with your work, with your collaboration, with the results, you can ask them to write a review for you. And if they're happy, I ask them, if they're happy, I ask them to write a review on my Google business page, and I copy and paste the same review and put it on my website and place it at the testimonials section. Because I think it's important to have some social proof on your own website. And now you are done. All right, that was the main part of the webinar. I hope this was helpful, but we're not quite done because I have some bonus tips and tricks for web designers. Basically, these are tips that I wish I knew before I was starting. That can be very helpful. So let's dive into that right away. So the first one, go the extra mile, the wow effect. Don't settle on good enough. This will be noticed with a customer. I talked about this earlier, but the client really will notice the extra effort you put into it and attention to details. I can stress this enough. So, and they will tell other people who are looking for a web designer that you will do this. So it's a good advertisement. So 2, be comfortable in your skills. Become a Photoshop, Adobe XD, Illustrator, and Tilda expert. Follow online courses and tutorials. You have some great free ones online. So it's more time efficient if you know the programs you use before you start a project, rather than searching for how it works while you're in the middle of a project. So become comfortable enough with the programs and with also the design principles. So dive into this. 3 is you can upload SVGs on Tilda, so don't limit yourself to shapes and images that you can select on Tilda. So make use of Illustrator. The possibilities are endless with this combination. So with Illustrator, you can make everything and make anything in SVG, so use this. 4, people know in 2 seconds if they want to scroll further on a website. So make sure the upper part above the fold of the homepage is perfect. I think this is crucial. Really put some extra time here. And I think the most important thing to show above the fold is a title and headline, a subtitle, a call to action, a visual, and some social proof. And this can be something like a Google review in a small widget, Google Reviews, or show some big clients that you worked for example. 5, sometimes you work more than expected and your planning is a bit off. So this happens. Take this as a lesson for next time. Because now you know where to add some extra time in your planning for next time. And 6, it's okay to have some off days and you're not making any progress. So go outside to get some fresh air, go work out. This helps with your creative process, or clean your desk, etc. Or you can go in a total other direction with your design. Sometimes if you're stuck, you need to try something completely else. 7, learn about SEO. How you put together a website can have a great impact on SEO. As a web designer, you should know the basics about search engine optimization. So know what works and what is bad for SEO before you make a website. And again, there is an online manual that we upload on Tilda that I made, and I talk about SEO a bit more, so check it out. Okay, 8, mobile design is important. These days, many people surf the internet with their phones, so also make a kick-ass design on the mobile state. And with Tilda, you have the possibility to do this perfectly. And on my website, I looked into this before. On average, 60% looks on a laptop or PC and 40% on the phone. So it's quite a lot. So make a kick-ass design also. 9, a lot of times you will come across some nice designs for inspiration. And even if this is just a small detail, it can be useful in the future. So bookmark this. I have a big collection of inspiration in my bookmarks. This is good to have. It's good to have things to fall back on or just to get inspired. And also here, it's important to keep it organized because it can get a lot very quickly. And 10, the final one, make site speed an absolute priority. Think about the file sizes before uploading, and if your site is slow, visitors will not stick around. Plus, it's bad for SEO. So keep in mind when building a website, don't use assets that are too large. All right, those were the tips and tricks. And last but not least, I put together some handy websites. So this is the last part of the webinar, websites that are super useful. So these are all the websites that I use a lot during my work. Maybe you know some of these. I will not go into detail with every website one by one, but you can check these out yourself. But really quick, these websites that can help you. These are websites that can help you with stuff like create websites, inspiration, choosing new colors, making vectors, choosing fonts, finding good illustrations, mockups, photos, and also design checklists so you won't forget stuff. So you can make a screenshot, go back into the video later, or check the links in the description below. It will help you a lot. So that's it. I want to thank everyone for your attention. And if you have some questions, please, you can ask them now.
Yeah, hi Simon. Great talk.
Hello.
So many insights, so many ideas. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And so yeah, let's make a quick Q&A session as we have several questions here. So I'll just read them out loud and to you. So the first question, hi Simon, could you talk about communicating with the clients? Your first conversation, how do you present your fee to them? Do you ask them to provide feedback? And how to keep the client happy? Like, I feel like you already spoke about that, but probably it will be useful to make kind of a summary on, how to make a client happy by communication.
Well, I think the first time you talk to a client is that they will email or call you with the questions that they have for a project. So what I think is important that you be enthusiastic, of course, and that you plan to do a meetup or a walkthrough or a video call, and just basically really put attention to what they're saying. So ask for what do they mean? What is the vision? What is the mission? Maybe you before you have the conversation, you can come up with some keywords or style designs that you think works good. So you can make them enthusiastic by this, but really listen to what they have to say and think with the client. So think of what will work, and so come with suggestions also.
Yeah, right. And we have a very close question to this one. Topic-wise, so do you have some tips and tricks on how to stand out as a web designer? What makes it that the client chooses you instead of someone else? It's a question from Chris.
That is a hard one. I think it's important to have, of course, a good website. I think just the quality is the best that you can do for this question. Just to have great quality. So. Make sure your website is perfect. Make sure your client's website is perfect. The client will choose the quality over the price mostly, I think. That's what I think. Yeah.
Okay, right. So if you're sure about your quality, it's okay to charge more than the market price, let's say. So you have to be sure about the quality. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think they will notice this. So if you ask a bit more than other designers who do. Just a template and make changes. I think it depends on who your client is, of course, but most clients want quality. So and how you can do this is just by putting the effort into it and make animations like really smooth and think about the design and not just put a section of Tilda that you can click on, but make one yourself with Zero Block, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So the next question is, also from Chris, what is that you like Tilda more than other design programs? Like, why do you prefer Tilda over other design programs?
That's really easy, I think. I tried many other design programs, but Tilda is just so easy, and you have total freedom, especially with Zero Block. You have freedom with the design, with animation, and it's so easy to use. With other programs, you need to dive into the code more, And with Tilda, you don't have to. Yeah, you can, of course, but you don't have to. So the freedom you have with design and animation, and it's just a good interface, I think. And also for the client, it's easy to understand. That's also very important. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Another question is, why did you choose to use a company-like name like SV Designs instead of just using your name like Simon Wijers?
That's a good one. I didn't. I choose SV Designs because SV are my initials, of course, and designs. It's for SEO better, because if people search for a design project, then maybe I'll pop up more soon, and also that they know what kind of company it is that I do. So if you have Simon Wijers, it can be a photographer, it can be a copywriter, anything. But SV Designs is like I'm a designer, so that's basically the thing.
All right. Yeah, I see. That's a cool trick as well, I think, something to take into consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, and also for SEO, of
young
course.
designers.
If you
And-
search for a design project or design website, then maybe I'll come higher in Google.
Right. Yeah. Cool. So the next one from Carlos. What's the best way to charge a client? Hourly based or fixed price? I think you touched on this a bit, but maybe, yeah, just the essential takeaway on that.
Well, I do both because I make a planning for myself, what I think is reasonable for a project. So I think of how many hours it will take me, and I have this hour rate, so this is the total price. And so I make my price out of my hour rate, so how much time it will take me. But the price that I tell to the client is a fixed price. So if there are no added tasks during the project, this is the price they'll have to pay.
Right. So you first calculate the number of
Yeah.
hours that you think you're going to use for this project, and then you give the fixed price to the client. And then in case there is something additional pops up, it's additional money, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And I talked about this too. First, you have to think, okay, can I do it? How much time will it take me? And then send it via email, so you have it in black and white. And also, what I want to add maybe is when it has to be done today, so it's like an emergency task or project, I can also charge a bit more because, yeah, I think if you have an emergency task or a project that you should do, you can ask a bit more.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Fair enough. Great. Yeah, I have a couple of other questions from our followers and from myself as well. So, yeah, one of the questions I wanted to ask you: how many projects do you need to have in your portfolio to approach a first client? Like before you have any clients, how many projects you should have in your portfolio?
I think that 4 is okay because clients won't. Most of the clients, I think, I'm not sure about this, but they will look at the first 1, 2, 3, maybe projects, and they think, okay, this is cool, he can do it. They won't look at maybe 10 projects; it's too much. So I think 4 is okay. If you have less than 4, then maybe make an imaginary project or fake project. But I think 4 is legit. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So 4 is the number.
I think, yeah, but this is my opinion, of course. But yeah.
Yeah, sure. yeah, but it's a good point. It's not 3, it's not like 5 and more, because it's like gonna take a lot of time, I guess, to create all these projects just for the portfolio.
I also think that it's better to have like 6 portfolio pieces rather than 12, for example. Maybe 8 is the perfect number, but more than 8, 10, I won't suggest that.
Okay, and so then after, when you have more projects, you have to be selective, right, on what to put on your portfolio. So you don't show like all of your projects on your website. No, you just select the best ones and you put it out there.
Yeah, I think so. And you can think of, okay, this is good because this is a total other direction. I can show this also, and this is something else. So you have a broad spectrum. I don't know the words in English, but you have many things to show with your portfolio that way. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like many different projects, so that the clients, can see how you solve different challenges. Yeah, exactly. I see. And another question that is linked to the portfolio is: do you need to ask the clients if you can use their project in your portfolio or not?
I don't think so. I never had this situation, and I think if you have like a client who has a project that that he don't want to show to anyone else, then you would notice and you can ask them then. But I don't think that you have to ask them. I never did. And I think the client is always happy when I have free advertisement on my website. And also I put a link to the website also. So, but it depends on the project you have. Maybe if it's a secret or a project or something, then of course, but otherwise, no, I don't do that.
Okay, yeah, I see. You talked about web animation, and you said that the wow effects are really important to make the website of a higher quality. But
Yeah.
do you think that web animation is essential nowadays? Like, is it the only source of the wow effects, or you can do a high quality project without animation?
Yeah, of course. The wow effect isn't limited to animation, I think. But I think it's important that in 2022, animation is very important, I think. And it's not that you need to put in like every thing animate and all the things move or stuff around or something, but use it subtle. Like when you land on a homepage, that the title just moves very smoothly or something, or when you have a slider that it does something differently. So the wow effect isn't really only animation. It's also the design, the attention to details, or the something like that. But I think that animation is very important also
Right.
these days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Another question is for those who are maybe thinking to start a design career or aspiring web designers. Can you recommend any web design schools? Like, what is the best place to learn web design nowadays?
Yes, of course. For me, I also did the coding for in the beginning. So I used W3 schools. I don't know how to say it in English, but W3, sorry. But if you don't want to touch your code, I think that Flux is a very good YouTube channel. And this is also a design school. You can take a course there. I didn't do that, but you can. And he talks about many things about design. So everything. So about the homepage, about contact page, about how to communicate, everything really. And he really helped me out a lot. And also Future is also a good YouTube channel that you can look up.
Yeah, Future by Chris Du, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Noted. And maybe the last question from me is, do you organize portfolio reviews? Like, can a young designer, for example, contact you and ask for an advice?
Yeah, of course. I always like to see other people's websites for designers and also the work. So yeah, sure. I'll be happy to.
Cool. Okay, so we'll
Yes.
we'll add your contacts. Yeah, you can contact Simon. So what is the best way to contact you?
Well, you can take a look at my website and there's all the contact information. So my email address is perfect for this, I think. So you can
Great.
find it there. Yeah. And the
Okay,
website
cool.
is linked in the description, of course.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. I think we covered a lot of things today, plenty of inspiration, hopefully for all of you guys. Thanks a lot again, Simon.
Yeah,
That
thank you
was
for having me.
very good, a very, very thoughtful presentation and inspiring
Definitely.
as well. And yeah, to everyone, stay tuned for more web design webinars. And yeah, feel free to add more questions, as I said before, under the video in case you're watching the recording. We'll do our best to answer all of your questions and send them to Simon. And well, thanks a lot. Thanks for watching and see you soon in our upcoming webinars. Have a great day. Bye-bye.